So you hear me talking about diversity pockets, especially in old field conversion, open fields, fallow fields, upland settings where you want to convert that to wildlife and whitetail habitat. Diversity pockets are something I've been drawing into client plans since probably 2006, 2007, where I'd see an old field, and what would always bother me is like someone would plant road conifers, road hardwoods in that field. It'd take 10 to 15 years to develop. And I really always thought that there's better options out there. Now, when you're planting switchgrass as a base and you're converting those diversity pockets in open field, you can create exceptional wildlife and whitetail parcels or whitetail properties within a couple of years. And so it really doesn't take that long. It shouldn't take that long. And diversity pockets are a great way to explode the wildlife and whitetail populations on your property, and it's easy to do. We're going to talk about it right now. Again, wildlife explosion. You know, that's why you're planting this. This is what you can do to grow those populations, and you can do it quickly. And I'll give you, everyone talks about early successional growth. It's a buzzword in the habitat community, deer habitat, wildlife habitat, whatever it is. Just allow it to go to early successional growth. It's natural, organic, just that's the way you do it. You don't need to plant. Well, unfortunately, the average fallow field takes 20 to 25 years to actually fill in enough so that there can be whitetails out on that property. Then you could hold them, say, a 10-acre chunk of land where there's actually enough cover to allow those deer to not only have browse and cover during the day food, but to actually be there and hidden from a road that's nearby, your access along that field to hunt. And so there's a lot of different ways to look at it. You could say that that early successional growth was great at 10 to 15 years, even 5 years for creating food, but to actually provide enough cover that actually holds wildlife species and holds them all winter long, it takes a lot more work than just a buzzword of early successional growth. Number one, diversity pockets. You're thinking browse, browse, and browse. So browse species, you're looking at if a field is hidden in cover in 2 years with switchgrass. Maybe you're in Missouri, southern Illinois, southern Indiana, down in Oklahoma, West Virginia. You're in more of that central part of the country, Tennessee, where you can plant a native grass blend that stays up all winter because you're not getting that volume of snow and heavy snow and ice to crush it down. Then a native grass blend might be a great option. Switchgrass, though, in most areas within 2 years, and sometimes within a year. I had switchgrass this year, 3 to 4 feet of growth, and really exceptional. If those would have been on some slate ridges where you're trying to hide wildlife species and whitetails behind, it would have been enough cover. But you still need to have that browse. And so the cool thing about diversity pockets is even if you're allowing those pockets themselves to convert to early successional growth, you're killing out the grass, because unless it's switchgrass or native grass blend in southern areas, then it's no cover at all. And of course, any grass is no food when it comes to whitetails. So you're just looking for browse. Do you care if that browse is 6 inches high or 3 feet high? It really doesn't matter. If briars are on the ground, new goldenrod, ragweed growth, forbs, forages, all great browse species, young trees or shrubs coming in. And so there's a lot of different varieties that can take care of your diversity needs for those pockets, and then you have the full cover around it. So it might be that you're, and we'll go down to point number 2, immediate cover and browse. What's so cool about this is, again, you can convert an old field within 1 to 2 years. Now, what if you have full red cedar, spruce, pine, shrubs? You already have an established native grass planting in southern Illinois that provides cover during the fall, but no food. Really easy to go in there and clear out pockets within that area of red cedar, spruce, shrubs, grasses, briars, whatever it might be. And then within those pockets, plant diversity pockets, get something growing in there with browse, non-grass species, non-conifer species, and non-browse shrub species. So you're looking at browse species that of shrubs, maybe an autumn olive, a willow, that might provide a lot of cover, but it's not providing any kind of food source. You're removing that too. You don't want that. So what's great is you can have immediate cover and browse with some of these species. Red cedar pocket, you can take those out. You can kill any red cedars that are coming in, any kind of grass, any kind of other cover species that are providing a lack of food, or no food. and you can kill that and get that out. So it's really easy to do quickly, and just think about that combination. I talk about the 50% rule of a field. Let's say this is a 10-acre field. You want that field surrounded in your base cover, non-food, because you don't want as a hunter to walk by, even if you're walking over here and there's browse pockets along the edge where deer can see you walking by and you spook them. That's why you don't, any kind of screening in a bag, Northwoods Whitetails HD screening is probably the best screening in the country. And it's large part because John Comp, that owns the company, actually tests it. He's tested it for years. He's looking for something that stands up to a UP winter, UP of Michigan weather up by Menominee, Michigan. So he's looking for winter hardiness, but at the same time, he wants zero food in it. And that's something we've known for years. You don't plant corn as a screen because you invite deer to the edge. They watch you walking by because they're feeding on the corn, sunflowers, vining beans, whatever it is. It might be something that someone could say, hey, this is my proprietary blend, and I have this perfect mix in, but half of it's food, sweet sorghums, corn, like I said, various legumes that might be tall, sunflower seeds. You don't want those, or sunflowers, you don't want those on your edge. And that's the same with the 50% rule. You have that bedding base monoculture, and then you can see these green locations. You want 40, 50, 60% on the inside in diversity pockets. And that's what they look like in a field, natural. You're not making a grid pattern. Don't make anything square. If you're planting shrubs in a square, bad. If you're planting hardwoods in a square, bad. You don't want rows. That's really stressful to deer and other wildlife species. I learned that back in the mid-90s when I was planting lots of different trees. We planted 4,000 trees in one weekend, one year, and 5,000 the next. Right on the back of the order form, and I want to say it was Sanilac County that I was ordering it through. I could be wrong, in the Thumb area of Michigan. But they talked about grouse species were increased 20 times when the plantings were staggered, when the aspen was staggered. It reduced disease, stress, warfare, predation among animal species. It's harder for predators. They go down a line, down that row, they can get whatever's there pretty easy. But when it's staggered and uneven, that's how you attract more wildlife. So make sure that's the case in your diversity pockets. You don't want a grid pattern, anything fancy. The fancier it is, the more it looks like a human made it, the worse it is for wildlife. So immediate cover browse, surrounded by cover. This could be a switchgrass field. These could be pockets that you've taken out of red cedar. What a shame. I've been down to Missouri, southern Iowa, and I don't know who recommends it down there, but they'll take a field of red cedar, autumn olive, whatever it might be, honeysuckle, and they take it all out and they plant hardwoods. 5 years later, you have a bunch of tubed hardwood trees and it doesn't hold any wildlife. Instead, they have a red cedar eradication program. We'll learn how to take 50% of that out, kill the red cedar that's remaining, kill the red cedar that comes, kill the grass that comes, any other form of conifer, allow the broadleafs and harder regeneration to take place. Now you have that perfect combination of a base form of cover, 50%, and then you have those diversity pockets within. There are, number 4, a wide variety of what you can plant and how you can promote diversity pockets within that base bedding cover. I've looked at this in pine plantations up in northern Michigan, where you're leaving the pine around your access because there's not going to be any deer in those road plantings. But on the inside where you need bedding and where you want bedding to relate to food, you create diversity pockets. And I would say on a 10-acre field, you're creating pockets that are 1/8 the size, 1/4 acre size. On a 40-acre field, you might look at 1 to 2 acre sizes, half acre. On a 100-acre field, if you were converting and that's what you wanted to do, then you're looking at anywhere from 1 to 5 acre pockets in there. You're looking for a representation of diversity pockets based on the scale of the area. So a lot smaller if it's a small area, a lot larger, up to 5 acres, even 10 acres if it's huge. We're talking 100 acres or more. And that's what you want. But within those diversity pockets, that's where early successional growth is key. Because if you have the base cover around it, now you have the base cover, you don't care if that diversity pocket, the browse within is only 6 inches high or a foot high. Critters, whitetails, wildlife have plenty of plants, forages, broadleafs, early successional growth for hardwoods or shrubs to dine on. And then they have the ultimate form of cover around them. And again, switchgrass can take place in 2 years, sometimes 1 year, depending on where you're at. Whether you're planting and throwing out red maple seeds, box elder seeds, you're planting those same things, same trees, hybrid poplars if you're planting those in there, briars, red osier dogwood in wetland areas. There's a huge variety that you can plant. I like the cuttings from John Walton and Big Rock Trees up by Chippewa Falls. You can buy cuttings that are 10, 12 inches. You buy them in packs. They're pretty affordable, and you just stab them in the ground. Every year he has a contest for how large you can grow a poplar tree or aspen, hybrid poplar. And I've seen up to 13 feet on there that wins, or 15 feet just in 1 year with his hybrids. Those are all great options, but you can simply just let it go to early successional growth. And if you do that, I can encourage you to spray out the grass within, because again, unless it's switchgrass, it's not providing cover. You're already providing cover in there. Any type of grass is typically no food at all, so you're getting rid of the grass in there. You're spraying any conifers that come in, because there's not much of a difference in value of cover between conifer and switchgrass. It's pure cover, so there's lots of options. And I know a lot of you guys like seeing Dylan in these videos. I'm thinking maybe we'll just let him take over the video someday. But Dylan, why don't you come in here? Come from behind the camera.
Okay. I have to...
I like picking on Dylan, and I picked on Ariana in an earlier video.
I gotta make a slight change here, and I'm a little embarrassed because I'm usually a little bit better at fixing your grammatical errors.
There needs to be a C?
There needs to be a C there. So
yeah. Dylan's really good at, like, he probably, well, he said to add an E right here on wildlife explosion.
There's an O there. That's pockets, not pockets.
So I said there was an E right there in explosion, but I guess you can't end one word and start it with the other and use the same word. Some grammatical thing he's teaching me. But anyways, Dylan visits parcels, and he has since 2017 for clients. And I'm really not flying to many parcels anymore, if any at all. So Dylan's kind of taken over that task. Do you have 9 or 10 scheduled this year?
8 so far, a couple more kind of in the works, working on getting the dates figured out. But yeah, it's been really exciting.
And what states are you going to so far this year? And they're years early.
It's at least 8 different states. So Texas, Alabama, New York, Pennsylvania,
North Carolina, Missouri. Are you going to Oklahoma yet?
Yes, Oklahoma.
Yeah. So quite a few.
Quite
already.
a few. Looking forward to each one. Just kind of expanding. Yeah. Learning a lot of each one.
Well, and that's the thing, that's what's cool about this, is you learn a lot in every one. So Dylan's been to several dozen, and he's flying to more. So you get to learn something on each one of those. So it's kind of cool. And so with that, when you're looking at parcels, a lot of times what's really cool is he'll send me the drawing of a parcel, and I might make a slight change of 2 or 3%, right, and that's about it. And so I've known that for years. It used to be like Dylan was pretty stressed going to the first one in 2017.
Oh, I was like, Jeff, draw me up what you
like ahead of time.
First. And quickly after that, it kind of became second nature.
And you have to remember, like Dylan, as far as the WHS way, anyways, he's filmed 650 videos, been in the tree stand at least 100 times over the last several years, and so many times. And it's not just that, it's kind of like, man, if we put a food plot here, what do you think of right over here, what you do? And so I trust Dylan, and really going out to properties at that level all over the place. Ross Fernandez, who used to cut for me, he went to properties too, but at this point, Dylan, as far as trusting someone, he's the highest on the list possible. When you're in Pennsylvania last week, what's interesting is that you were looking at browse pockets and diversity pockets on both properties.
Yeah, both clients that I dealt with. Quick thank you to Fine Line Cabinets. One of my clients gave me this.
That's awesome.
Sweater. Love it.
I don't get shirts that often. What are you doing? This is crazy.
Excellent.
What the heck?
Perk.
Yeah. So I know that you recommended pockets on both properties you're on, but then there's areas you did not recommend pockets. Why were you recommending pockets on those properties? Why were you not?
The areas,
to put you on the spot.
The areas that I wanted pockets was simply to create bedding and create layers of bedding, where I wanted to bring bedding closer to food sources. A lot of those were in more agriculture fields that were converting to bedding. So creating those diversity pockets right along the bedding that's screened from the food brings a lot of those doe family groups closer to the food, in my opinion. And I think that's
one of the things to cut in here real quick. You said that one of the properties about 75 acres.
Yep.
And tell them what you did with that,
So
with
there
ag
was,
versus
I think
and why.
23 or 25 acres of this 75-acre property was open field that had been agriculture in the past. They did all food for deer in the last couple of years, which a little bit overkill when it comes to food on a 75-acre parcel. So I wanted to convert a lot of that into strictly bedding and diversity pockets. So imagine on a 75-acre parcel adding 20 to 25 acres of straight deer habitat where they can spend all their daytime hours. So, I mean, you're increasing that property's efficiency by doing the math in my head here right away, but that's almost 30% right there that you're adding to a property that's only 75 acres.
Well, that's, we talk about efficiency, meaning the level of acres that are devoted to all whitetails all the time. That includes food plots, bedding areas, travel corridors, water holes, so that deer can live within that area. You can blow your scent to the outside. They can't see you, hear you in that area.
Right.
And so when you're converting ag land, you're taking ag as a 1 or 2 out of 10 as it relates to whitetails and wildlife, and you're converting it to an 8 or 9, and maybe some food plots thrown in with it. So
absolutely. But there were areas that I didn't want any of these pockets where it was just going to become either switchgrass or conifer plantings. And the reason for that is that gives you a lot more screening that you can access around. So whether you're blowing your wind into a portion of it that's unsupported by these diversity pockets where they can browse during the day, or you're simply walking by these areas and getting through, you can't be seen, smelt, or heard.
Yeah,
I was trying to go with
the three S's. I know that. The
sound.
sound. Yeah.
But
the 3 S's. I forget. I get mixed up with that.
So using that screening rather than adding diversity pockets in those areas helps you get in and out clean.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah,
and that's why a lot of times when he sends me the plans now, I look over them. I called you and we discussed it for like a minute.
Yep.
You know, more of it was that he enjoys the clients. And what's cool is the first set of clients he had in Pennsylvania, he's flying to these clients. We do a 3-day fly-in fee. It's a set fee. And basically leave early day 1, arrive home. He comes back late day 3. And we try to work the airlines so we can spend the most time with clients. But it gives you a lot of time to enjoy the clients. Absolutely. And we were getting texts the first night from the client to Diane saying, "We love Dylan. We're having a great time. This is awesome." Because this isn't just us showing up even on a 1-day client that I go to and say, "This is what you need to do. This is how you do it." And we move on. We're having a lot of times breakfast in the morning, coffee. That's why in my web classes, the first video is, I think, breakfast and coffee.
Yep.
And so, absolutely. But you're getting to know you guys. We're getting to know your resources, your goals, history with the land. You know, I'm getting to know that, you know, like one of my clients in Ohio, they got married this summer. You get a little bit about their background of how they met. They have another business or 2 on the side. You know, she started in this business. He's a state trooper, actually. And so you're getting to know these clients on a personal level, and that's what you're finding out. I mean, like on a fly-in, you have a lot of fun. You get to know the clients really well, and you had some awesome clients. Dylan was saying, you know, having a great time. This is awesome, and
we're really blessed to get to do what we do.
Yeah, we are. We truly are. So, diversity pockets. I hope that makes a lot of sense. I love seeing like Dylan. He understands that it's not about saying let's manage every 100% of the property for whitetails and wildlife. It's how can we manage enough and what level can we manage as a percentage that we can attract as many wildlife species and whitetails as possible, but not spook them off.
Exactly.
So you have to have access, you have to have downwind blockers, and I could actually draw, I know the one property you had, and I know it won't be exact, but these things get imprinted, you know, really into your head to where Dylan had a horizontal field with access along this border and a lot of cover up here, and he encouraged the landowner to bring food out here, and I think there's some fence rows going across.
Yeah, there's just brush lines. There's no fence
brush lines. Yep. And so that food would come out here and go back. That creates stand locations right here where you enter and exit cover. This was solid switch out here, and this was diversity pockets on the inside. You're trying to access through here, stand location, stand, whatever it might be. blow everything, your scent, your sound to the outside out of these stand locations. No pockets on this side because you don't want to spook those deer that might be there when you go into a stand location or when you get out. And then you're watching this food wide through the field, and then you have potentially doe bedding coming out of this cover, and you're taking those layer of does right here, placing them down here. That frees up space in the cover. And is that kind of similar to what?
Very, very close. Yeah, very close. And that was
anything you want to add for tips or anything? Or
my whole goal was to bring, this was their first layer of bedding, and then they had neighboring properties with a lot of hunting pressure. So there's no room for these bucks to bed. So my whole goal was to bring does, young bucks down closer to that food and open up their top layer of their property for mature bucks to spend their daytime hours, which allows a lot of cruising along. This was a big ridge, so there's all kinds of cruising going on up here.
And some really good morning stands up. Yeah.
So I was really excited about the morning stands that we picked out up there.
Yeah. And so that's where, you know, these diversity pockets make sense, but I appreciate Dylan, you know, drawing up a plan for a client that I'm not even going to see, and I look at it and say, this makes perfect sense. Diversity pockets are a big key.
Yep.
And you'll look forward to going a lot more this year.
Heck yeah.
I said with the fly-ins last year, we had to reschedule a lot due to COVID. And so I look at it like I'm hitting my wheelhouse clients where I go to one hotel, go to 8 or 9 clients in 10 days, 10 days. And then Dylan's flying to a lot of clients. So we appreciate you.
Looking forward to
doing the work. And I hope this is a greater diversity or a greater understanding of diversity pockets that you can now apply to your own setups and habitat and hunt this fall. Now, as we transition into habitat season, I hope you've had a chance to check out my web class, How to Design Your Whitetail Parcel. It's on my website, whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. I have a link in the description, and I hope you can find it, check it out, and enjoy it this year.